The rain had just started to fall when Olivia Reynolds pulled onto the quiet, winding road leading out of Silver Lake. It was late 9:30 p.m., the air thick with the scent of wet pine and the distant hum of thunder. She had just left her best friend Maya's house, promising to text when she got home. That text never came. At 6:45 a.m., a jogger spotted Olivia's abandoned car on the shoulder of Lakeview Road, a remote stretch of highway surrounded by dense forest. The driver's door was wide open, the headlights dimming as the battery drained. Her phone, smashed on the pavement a few feet away, the screen flickered weakly, displaying the last text she had typed, but never sent. "Something's wrong, I think someone's following." Then nothing. By the time Detective Ethan Cole arrived at the scene, the rain had washed away any footprints or tire tracks. But something wasn't right. "He's still in the ignition," Officer Daniels noted, peering inside the vehicle. "She didn't just wander off." Cole scanned the dark tree line. The silence felt unnatural, as if the whole forest was holding its breath. Then he saw it. A symbol carved into a nearby tree, a circle with an X through it. The edges of the carving were fresh, the wood inside still pale. Cole frowned. "That mean anything to you?" Daniels shook his head. "Not a clue." Cole crouched near the car, his gut tightening. No sign of a struggle, no blood, no obvious evidence of a crash. It was as if Olivia had been plucked from the night itself. His phone buzzed. Monroe, his partner. "They pulled the last security footage from a gas station near the highway," she said, her voice tense. "You need to see this." Minutes later, the grainy footage loaded on Cole's screen. At 9:42 p.m., Olivia's car pulled into the station. She got out, looking over her shoulder, her expression tense. At 9:45 p.m., a dark SUV pulled in beside her. A man in a black hoodie stepped out. She shook her head. He stepped closer. Then the footage glitched. When it returned, the SUV was gone. And Olivia's car sat empty. Cole's grip tightened around his phone. She didn't just vanish. Someone took her. Detective Ethan Cole sat in the dimly lit conference room, staring at the grainy security footage frozen on the screen. Olivia Reynolds' car, the dark SUV, the hooded man stepping out. Then the footage cut out. "She's taken," his partner, Detective Sarah Monroe, murmured, and whoever did it knew exactly where the cameras were. Cole exhaled sharply. This wasn't random. Someone had planned this. The next stop was Olivia's apartment, a small, cozy space, untouched. Except for one thing. Her laptop sat open on the coffee table, a half-empty cup of coffee beside it. A sign she had been in the middle of something important before she left that night. Monroe clicked the trackpad. The screen flickered to life, revealing her last search history. Unsolved disappearances in Silver Lake. Missing persons last 10 years. Elias Vance Mining Company. Call exchanged a look with Monroe. She was investigating something. Monroe scrolled further. A half-written article was open. Silver Lake's Forgotten Victims. The Truth Hidden in the Dark. Cole's pulse quickened. She was onto something big. Monroe flipped through Olivia's notebook, the pages filled with names, dates, and locations. And at the very bottom of the last page, a single symbol drawn in black ink. A circle with an X through it. The same symbol carved into the tree near her car. "This isn't just a missing persons case," Monroe muttered. She was getting too close to something, and someone didn't want her to find out the truth. Back at the precinct, Cole sifted through Silver Lake's cold case files. The deeper he dug, the more disturbing it became. 5 disappearances in the last 10 years. All young, all asking questions, none ever found. Then his phone buzzed, a blocked number. Cole hesitated before answering. A distorted voice whispered on the other end. "She asked too many questions. If you keep digging, you'll be next." The line went dead. Cole clenched his jaw. Someone was watching them, and they were just getting started. Detective Ethan Cole couldn't shake the feeling that Olivia Reynolds' disappearance was just the tip of the iceberg. The deeper he and Detective Sarah Monroe dug, the more tangled the mystery became. They sat in the precinct, surrounded by old case files. 5 disappearances over the past 10 years. Each victim was young, curious, and had started asking the wrong questions before vanishing. And one name kept showing up in Olivia's notes: Elias Vance. Vance had once been one of the most powerful men in Silver Lake. His mining company had kept the town running for decades until it mysteriously shut down 15 years ago. Officially, the mine was closed due to unsafe conditions, but rumors swirled about something far worse. Olivia had been investigating those rumors. Cole and Monroe drove to the Silver Lake Public Archives, hoping to dig up old records on the mining company. The place smelled of dust and forgotten history, its shelves lined with yellowed newspapers and aging files. After an hour of searching, Monroe pulled out an old article from 15 years ago. Tragic accident at Vance Mining Cove. Claims 6 lives. Official report says tunnel collapse. Cole frowned. 6 people died and they just closed the mine? Monroe flipped to another page, brows furrowing. Look at this. A follow-up article, printed just weeks later. Mining disaster victims' families denied access to investigation reports. No answers given. Cole's stomach twisted. Why would Vance cover up the details of an accident? Then Monroe's phone buzzed. An unknown number. She hesitated before answering. A woman's voice, distorted and barely above a whisper. You're looking in the right place, but if you want answers, you need to go to the mine. Tonight. Click. The call ended. Cole and Monroe exchanged uneasy glances. This is a trap, Monroe said. The road leading to the abandoned Vance mining facility was barely more than a dirt path swallowed by dense forest. Detective Ethan Cole gripped the wheel tightly, headlights cutting through the fog as he and Detective Sarah Monroe approached the rusted gates. The mine had been closed for 15 years, but something about it still felt alive. You sure about this? Monroe asked, her hand resting on her holstered gun. No, Cole admitted, but Olivia was, and someone wanted her to stop digging. They stepped out of the car, boots crunching against the damp ground. The entrance to the mine was blocked by a rusted chain-link fence, but a hole had been cut through it recently. Someone had been here. Danger, do not enter. Soulmate personal practices only. Structure, risk, unstable ground. A gust of wind whistled through the trees, carrying an unsettling sound, like whispering voices in the dark. Monroe shivered. Let's make this quick. They stepped inside, the mine swallowing them in cold darkness. Water dripped from the ceiling, the walls lined with decaying wooden beams. Their flashlights barely pierced the pitch-black corridors. Then, a noise. Cole froze. Did you hear that? Monroe nodded, pointing her light down the tunnel. Ahead, in a small alcove, something blinked red. A camera. Still recording. A monitor, mounted on the cave wall, flickered to life. Tied to a chair, eyes wide with terror. Holy! Monroe stepped forward, but the monitor glitched and a distorted voice crackled through hidden speakers. You shouldn't have come here, Detective. Detective Ethan Cole and Sarah Monroe ran deeper into the mine, their footsteps echoing off the damp, rocky walls. The air grew thicker, musty with the scent of decay and rusted metal. Somewhere ahead, Olivia had screamed, a desperate, chilling sound that pushed them forward, despite the prickling sense of danger crawling up their spines. Cole's flashlight flickered. Damn it, he muttered, smacking it against his palm. The mine felt like it was swallowing the light, consuming it in an abyss of darkness. We need to be careful, Monroe whispered, gun drawn. This whole thing feels like a setup. Cole knew she was right, but they were out of options. If Olivia was still alive, she needed them. Now. A sudden clatter echoed from a side tunnel. Cole swung his light toward the sound, catching the briefest glimpse of a shadow darting around the corner. We're not alone, Monroe muttered. Cole nodded. Stay close. They moved forward cautiously, rounding a bend where the walls narrowed into a tight passage. Then, up ahead, a door. It was old, metal, and rusted, partially open as if someone had rushed through in a hurry. Beyond it, a dim light flickered. Cole took point, gun raised, and stepped inside. The room was small, cluttered with old mining equipment, broken furniture, and a single chair, and in that chair, Olivia. She was gagged, wrists bound to the armrests, her eyes wild with panic as she tried to warn them. Cole rushed forward, then froze. Something was wrong. A thin wire glinted beneath the chair's leg. Monroe's sharp intake of breath confirmed his fear. A tripwire. "It's a trap," she hissed. A speaker crackled from the corner of the room. "I told you not to come, detective." The voice was calm, controlled, and terrifyingly familiar. Before Cole could react, the door behind them slammed shut. The light overhead cut out, and from the darkness, footsteps. They were surrounded. The room plunged into darkness, the slam of the heavy metal door reverberating through the abandoned mine. Detective Ethan Cole's pulse pounded as he gripped his gun, his eyes darting through the shadows. Beside him, Sarah Monroe steadied her breath, gun raised. Olivia was right in front of them, tied to the chair, but the tripwire beneath her threatened to turn this rescue into a deadly mistake. A slow, deliberate footstep echoed from the far side of the room, then another. "We need to get out of here," Monroe whispered. Her voice calm, smooth, and taunting filtered through the hidden speakers once more. "You were warned, detectives, but you didn't listen." Cole's jaw tightened. "Where is the trigger?" he demanded, scanning the floor. "What happens if we move her?" A low chuckle. "Let's find out." A click. Then a countdown began. 0030 flashed in dull red digits from a rusted control panel in the corner. 30 seconds. "Damn it," Monroe hissed, rushing forward. Cole dropped to his knees, inspecting the tripwire. It was rigged to explosives, enough to bury them in this mine forever. 025. He grabbed his pocket knife, working fast. "Get ready to grab her," he ordered Monroe. Monroe crouched beside Olivia, who was whimpering behind her gag, tears streaming down her face. Cole cut the wire. A sharp electric beep, then nothing. A bluff. Monroe yanked Olivia up and they rushed toward the metal door. 010. Move. They ran. As they sprinted into the tunnel, a deafening blast erupted behind them, sending a shockwave of heat and dust roaring through the passage. The mine shuddered, rocks raining down as if the earth itself was trying to swallow them whole. They burst outside just as the tunnel collapsed, a massive cloud of dust billowing into the night. Gasping for air, Olivia clung to Cole, shaking violently. "You're okay," he murmured. "You're safe now." But deep down, he knew this wasn't over. Somewhere in the darkness, their enemy was still watching, waiting. And this was just the beginning.